everyone, my name is Stephanie with Stephanie Cole Over 50 Living, and today we are going to be making a tomato and goat cheese galette. And I love making these in the summertime because a galette basically is a free-form pie, and you can use plums, apples, pears, nectarines, peaches, and then you can go the savory route using mushrooms or tomatoes or leeks or whatever you would like. But I really think that they're a fun pie to make. These pies are best served either room temperature or cool so that all the ingredients on the inside can come together. Today I thought I would use some tomatoes from the garden and basil from the garden, and I will share with you how to make this recipe. So let's get started. We are going to start off with our pie dough, and so I am going to put in a food processor 1.5 cups of flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, and the vinegar helps for a more flaky crust. I have a 1/2 cup of lightly salted butter that I cubed and put into the freezer for about 20 minutes. 1/4 cup of water to start. We're going to mix. So it kind of looks just like a rough mush, but I don't want to lose all the structure of the really cold butter. So if I just take this, it immediately turns into the pie dough. So I have some saran wrap right here, and I'm going to dump the dough. And then by hand, I'm just going to form a disc. And once we have our disc, we are going to just wrap it in the saran wrap. And you can see, I don't know if you can see, but I can see little flecks of butter, and that's what we want. And we are going to put this in the refrigerator for at least 30 minutes up to an hour or even longer. So this will actually last a couple of days in the refrigerator, and then you can freeze this up to 3 months. While the dough is resting, we are going to prep the tomatoes. And what I like to do with my tomatoes is I like to cut them and place them on a paper towel so that some of the juices can release, and then we don't have a soggy dough. Nobody wants a soggy dough. And I am doing 2 regular size tomatoes and a handful of variety of cherry tomatoes. I love these on a hot day because it's at room temperature. You can make this in the morning and just have it kind of sit out. And yeah, it's a great little treat. Now on the cherry tomatoes, I am just going to half them. I'm going to take the little stems off of all of these first. We have had such a busy weekend between going down to the river and going kayaking, taking the dogs swimming. These are Brad's Atomic tomatoes that I grow, and they are so sweet. So if you are a gardener, I highly recommend that you try the Brad's Atomic because they are amazing. It is time to start with the filling, and I am using goat cheese. You don't have to use goat cheese. You can use any soft cheese that you want. Ricotta, cream cheese, even soft mozzarella. So I've used all of them, but I prefer goat cheese, so that's what I'm going to use, and I'm going to add some goodies to that. We're going to start off chopping the herbs that are going to go into the filling, and I am using basil, thyme, and chives. And I'm just going to lay these flat on top of each other, roll it, slice it. And then for the chives, if I can get these all together, I got a chive blossom here. I'm gonna chop off the ends, get them evened up. You can use dried chives, basil, oregano, whatever you want, dried thyme. I just have the fresh in my garden, so I might as well use it. And you're going to use 2 tablespoons of fresh chives and 1 tablespoon if you have the dry. Same thing with the basil, you're going to half the basil if you're using the dried. So now I'm going to add some thyme, a teaspoon of thyme and a half a teaspoon of thyme if it's dry. And the best way to pull off thyme leaves is to go against, here, let me show you. So you're gonna go against the way it grows and just pull down. Okay, so I have 8 ounces of goat cheese. I have the fresh herbs that we just chopped. We are going to do a dash of pepper. We are going to do a dash of salt, a teaspoon of granulated garlic. You can use 1 clove of fresh, and I'm going to add 1 egg yolk. And then we are just going to blend all this together. Alright, we are ready to roll out the dough. We want it to be at least 12 inches round, about an 1/8 inch thick, and then we will put it all together and bake it. I use a pizza stone, but you don't have to. You can just cook it on a cookie sheet, but I like the fact that the pizza stone helps it have a crisper bottom, so that's what I use. And I cook it at 350 degrees for 40 to 45 minutes. I am excited to eat this, but I'm also excited to get this done because we are gonna go out on the kayaks today, take the dog out there with us and cool off. It is so unbelievably hot right now. So anyway, let's get started on the dough. I like when I'm making my pie crust to turn as I'm going around, like a quarter turn. That way it's easier to get it round. Even then, I very rarely get it round, but it does help a lot. We are going to start assembling, and I am going to start by just putting some of the cheese mixture into little areas here. It's easier to me to spread it if you have little piles instead of one gloop of cheese. As I spread this, I'm going to leave space around probably about 1.5 to 2 inches. That way I can fold over the dough. And normally I would have put the dough back in the refrigerator after I rolled it out for about 20 minutes just to let it rest again. And I am just going to on top. And like I said, it's okay if you overlap them because the tomatoes will shrink. And if you can see, this is why you take that moment and you just let the tomatoes drain, because this is actually pretty wet and you've taken that extra moisture out by laying them onto the paper towel. So it seems like a small step, but it's a really important step. And then you're just going to bring up the dough in about every 3 to 4 inches. Very rustic look and feel to it. Well, that's it, friends. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, bye.